What's up, sports fans? This is the Lucas Ross Sports Channel, and it's time to finish our 2023 schedule preview and projected records for the 2023 college football offseason. And we finish our schedule preview and projected records with the Houston Cougars. Houston coming off a 8-5 season in 2022, 8-4 in the regular season, maybe 7-5 as well. Houston now heading to the Big 12 in 2023. And again, we finish with all these newcomers in the Big 12 to end these projections out. So you can go back and watch those three other videos. You can go watch BYU's. We did that one on Tuesday. Wednesday, we did Cincinnati. And then, of course, yesterday, we did UCF. Now we're ending things out here with Houston. Looking at the schedule for this Houston team heading into 2023, you look at who they'll play in the non-conference. They'll play UTSA. They'll play Rice on the road on September 9th. And then they'll play, of course, Sam Houston here at home on September 23rd. So the non-conference schedule, not all too tough. Houston will play Rice, so that's a rival game that is on the road on September the 9th. And we know they're going to be playing almost every single Big 12 team on this schedule. So let's now go game by game for this Houston team. So they'll start the season off with their couple non-conference games here. They'll play a UTSA team that was really good last year, an 11-win team from last year, a top 25 team potentially heading into this year as well. They'll play that game on September the 2nd. Could be a pretty big challenge there for Houston. It's not very a winnable game, but it's really close to being a winnable game, maybe an easy win there. But then they'll play Rice after that on September the 9th. Then they'll play TCU here to begin Big 12 play. So you're going to have to play TCU here on the schedule in the Big 12 to begin here on September the 16th. And they'll play Sam Houston here on September 23rd. So there's a pretty good chance that Houston could start out, undefeated at 4-0, maybe 3-1 if they lost to TCU. So I think all these games right here are very winnable games, though. Then they'll play Texas Tech here on September the 30th. They'll get a bye week after playing that game. They'll play a weeknight game here against West Virginia on a Thursday. That'll be a home game on October the 12th. Then they'll play Texas there on October the 21st. Then they'll play back-to-back road games here with Kansas State and Baylor. Tough back-to-back road games there on October the 28th and November the 4th against Kansas State, the defending Big 12 champions. And then you got Baylor here on the road. And then you play Cincinnati on November the 11th. Then you play Oklahoma State on November 18th. So you get back-to-back home games there. And then they'll end things out here with UCF on the road on November 25th. So a schedule overall is not too bad, but they do have to play the top three teams, or I should say top four teams in the Big 12 from last year. They do have to play TCU, Texas, Kansas State, and also they have to play Texas Tech there on the schedule. Like I said, TCU, Texas Tech, Texas, and Kansas State are the top four teams from last year. The good news is they get TCU and Texas both at home, and they obviously have to play Texas Tech and Kansas State both on the road. But they don't have to play their first three non-conference games there to begin the month of September. I think Houston would kind of prefer to play Sam Houston a little bit before TCU. But anyways, a schedule that's not really all too tough for them considering they don't have a tough non-conference schedule. And then, of course, Texas and TCU are both at home. So let's now get to the projection for this Houston team. And this is the scale that we use, that we've been mainly using for our projections throughout the season. If it's a 1% game, these are games where Houston has no chance of winning. 20%, there'll be about a couple touchdowns of underdogs in the orange. 40% in the yellow, these are games where they're going to be heavy underdogs in, about a touchdown. 50-50 games, these will stay in the white, games where they can go either way. 60%, they'll be favored by at least a touchdown, and then 80%, a couple touchdowns, and then, of course, the 90% games are the easy wins. And I have two easy wins already here for Houston. I got UTSA and Sam Houston here. This is these are two non-conference games that I think they'll win easily. I think UTSA, though, could be a game that's in the 90% category. It could switch to a blue game, because this is not really an easy win here for Houston. I'm going to still put it in the green otherwise, but I think, this is not going to be an easy game. It's not very a winnable game here for Houston, but Sam Houston, I think, will be an easy win there on September the 23rd. So I think both of these games, I think Houston should be big favorites heading into both of these games, and they have no business to lose both of those games. We now go to the games where they're going to be about a couple touchdowns of underdogs, about 80%. And I think you've got one game, and that's Rice here on September the 9th. I know this is a rival game. It could go either way, but I think, Houston's really owned Rice now in the last couple years, and I think this will be a game that Houston could probably dominate. But however, it's not an easy win. It's a blue game here, and it's a very winnable game also for Rice, perhaps. And it could switch to a purple game by the time we do those predictions in the month of May. And this could be a really tough challenge there on the road at Rice. And this is a rival game, so if you're not really familiar with the Houston and Rice rivalry, that is a rival game there on September the 9th. So I think this is the only game that Houston will be favored by at least a couple touchdowns. I don't have any purple games here for Houston on the schedule or a 1% game on this schedule, so let's now go to the games where they're going to be about a couple touchdowns of underdogs in the orange. And I got one orange game on this schedule, and that's Kansas State on the road on October 28th. This will be their toughest road game, I believe, on this schedule. I mean, you got Baylor on the road, you got Texas Tech on the road as well inside the Big 12, and you also got UCF, but other than that, Kansas State is one of their toughest road games, I believe, on this schedule. And Rice, I don't think that's really a tough road game either. I think Kansas State out of the Big 12 will be their toughest road game. I mean, Kansas State coming off that Big 12 championship win last year, they have a lot of expectations heading into this season. So as of right now, I'm going to put Houston as a couple touchdowns of underdogs against Kansas State. We go to the games now where they're going to be about a heavy underdog in, about a touchdown at 40%. These are very winnable, but not really quite there just yet. But I got three of those games in the yellow: TCU, Texas Tech, and Texas. I think, you could put Houston here in the yellow with all three of these teams. Texas Tech will be a tough one there on the road. That's why I got to put this one in the yellow, and plus they were a pretty decent team last year. TCU and Texas, they made really high hopes after last year, and this could be two teams that, could really shine this season once again. TCU, I think, will be a step back, but Texas, I think, has a lot of hype coming into this year. But with both of these games at home for Houston, I'm going to put both of these games in the yellow. These are all very winnable games in the yellow. 3 games that are very winnable games for Houston here in the yellow, but just not quite there just yet. But as of right now, I can really see them, beating these 3 teams. I really can see them. But the rest of the games here for Houston: West Virginia, Baylor on the road, Cincinnati, Oklahoma State, and then UCF on the road. These are all 50-50 games for Houston. Games that can go really either way. These are all very winnable games for Houston, so I can see Houston maybe making it to a bowl game in their first year in the Big 12, but we just don't know how good this team will be. This is a Houston team that's coming off a pretty up-and-down season last year. They could be a top 25 team this year, though, perhaps. But, these 50-50 games, they are all very winnable. And also, I forgot to mention, they do play just 2 newcomers in the Big 12 this year, and that's Cincinnati and UCF. So they only have to play them as the newcomers. They don't have to play BYU on the schedule, so that's the good news there. But Houston, I think, they do have a really good schedule. I think it really sets up nicely for them to have a really good season. Let's now get to the projection here for this Houston team. So if you look at the games that they're favored in, again, this is not my official prediction. This is simply a projection based on those schedules that we have done, throughout, the last couple months. You look at the games that Houston's favored in, and you also look at the games that they're underdogs in, and of course you count the 50-50 games. You get an overall projected record at 6-6 for this Houston team in 2023. So 6-6 comes out to be the projection here for this Houston team. But I think this is a schedule that sets up nicely for them to go 7-5, maybe 8-4, or also, worst case scenario I think would be probably 5-7 or 4-8. It would just kind of be a big disappointment if they did go 4-8 or 5-7. After an 8-5 season last year. So I'm kind of expecting Houston to be a really good contender in the Big 12 next year, but as of right now, this is how the projected record comes out to be at 6-6. And that was our last team projection for these 2023 projected records and also schedule preview videos. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this series on the projections, and we'll continue to do more sports content, throughout the rest of the month of April. Then, of course, we'll do those predictions in the month of May, and I'll let you know when a date comes out for those predictions. But let me guys know what you think about this Houston team down in the comments below. What do you think their worst case scenario will be, and what do you think their best case scenario will be in 2023? And stay tuned here for more sports content on the Lucas Ross Sports Channel.